Hey, what's going on? This is Muriel from the Sunshine Family, about Costa Rica for families, Costa Rica for kids if you're thinking about becoming an expat, and if you are a parent, you want to watch my video because you will be meeting my daughter in like a couple of seconds, and she was willing to show up on my video to share some information from first hand. As a teenager who came to Costa Rica when she was 14 and who left Costa Rica, and why she left, she will explain that herself when she was 18. Now I am currently visiting her. We are in Amsterdam, and I think you want to hear more about her to give you some more freedom to make the choice of your heart, even if your kids do not want to live there for the rest of their lives. Because our story is kind of unique, well, let's talk more about that. But first of all, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, do that first. There's a little icon on the screen. If you tap it, you can subscribe and hit the bell icon to get a notification every time I upload new videos. Always Costa Rica related, even now from Amsterdam, but it is Costa Rica related. So thanks so much for that, because that also supports my channel. Now, here is my daughter.
And I'm her daughter.
Yes. So she came to Costa Rica when she was 14, and she left Costa Rica when she was 18.
I am still 18.
Yeah, you are still 18. And I'm visiting her. We just ate some typical Dutch stuff. Herring. And how that looks like, I will add a picture in there right here. So could you tell our viewer, my viewer on my YouTube channel, people with parents with kids, what you loved most about living in Costa Rica, to assure them that it's not a wrong choice to take their teenagers anyways?
I got to see a different side of the world. I got to see best of both worlds. Sorry. I get to appreciate the good and the bad things about both places. I see the good and the bad places. Like, I used to think Holland is amazing. I miss it so much, but now I see why my parents left. But I also know why they moved to Costa Rica, which I didn't see at first. I hated it. Let's just keep it on that. They told me when I was 13, just imagine a 13-year-old girl that just went to high school. You don't want to take them out of that. But they did anyway, and now I speak 2 other languages fluently.
So that's benefit number 1, the language that you learned to speak English fluent?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke English. Now I'm fluent. I can get away with being American if I want to. And honestly, you get to meet a lot of cool people. I have best friends all over the world. My best friend lives in Milan. Another one lives in the US right now, in like New York City. So living in Paris, like I can go anywhere I want and I'll have someone.
So can I conclude 2 benefits so far hearing from you? Learning different languages like Spanish and English.
Having a bigger view on the world.
Having a bigger view on the world, and meeting international friends.
Yeah, you get a way bigger,
That's cool.
That? Like, you can go way bigger in the world. I have, like, how do you say that? A home in multiple cities. I can go to Costa Rica and live in a jungle and it'll be my home. I can come back here and it'll still be my home. I can also go visit my absolute best friend in Milan and now have my own place to stay and I'll be able to see that part of the world as well from a different view.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Is there a difference between the countryside, Costa Rica, to live in San Jose?
Yes,
and can you tell my viewer a little bit more about
in the city,
where we lived and everything you know about it?
Where we live, it's basically jungle.
Where is it?
Santa Teresa. Santa Teresa, it's on the peninsula, so you're about 5 hours of traveling away from actual civilization, like as you can see in the background.
What's the benefit of that?
You get in this kind of bubble. You don't really pay attention to the problems of the rest of the world, which is good, and a little bit less on one side, personally for me. Like, you don't hear about all the bullshit going on in the governments on countries on the whole other side of the world. You don't have people complaining about everything. You just kind of get this pure vida vibe of, well, what happens today, what happens tomorrow. You kind of just live day by day, and you kind of have to, because you can't plan forward.
Do you think it has to do with that it's a peninsula, meaning that
It's also a blue zone, which really gives out the energy of the people that live there, the people that are local there. So chill, like everyone is, obviously everything has good and bad sides, but personally I really like it. It's very chill. there's not that many people, so you kind of learn to live with what you got.
Yeah, that's good. And in San Jose, like, what is the? Do we know people who live in San Jose?
I know a couple of people that just moved to San Jose.
Would you want to live there?
No,
Why?
never.
Well, that's good. That's good. Can you
because
explain that?
I personally am a city girl. I need people around me, which is why I moved back. And San Jose is still very much a small town in a big city. It's probably like the valley is absolutely humongous. It's one big city that is actually split up in multiple categories. But it's a very poor city and big, like the biggest part of the city isn't very rich. And then you have two neighborhoods, Santa Ana and Escazú. Most people that I know live in those two like neighborhoods. And it's I don't know. I don't like the vibe there. You gotta have money. You gotta have a status. You gotta have a background, something like that. And I don't know. You can't really be yourself there. Personally, I felt, because you really have to try and fit in, since there is still not that many people that think differently. Everything is very much boxed there.
So that is like your experience as a teenager, right?
Yeah.
Your personal experience as a teenager.
I didn't
Well,
live
this is
there.
interesting.
I just
sweetie.
know some people that just moved there. I personally would much rather live in a jungle in Costa Rica than live there.
Okay.
If I want to live in a city, I'm gonna move back to Holland, which is what I did.
Thanks so much for sharing, dear. So also, since we are in, let me show you where we are. This is Amsterdam, and there is a lot of
Wijnkaden Amsterdam.
yeah, this is an old haven, cultural, historical rich area, but especially probably everyone knows Amsterdam. Can you share with my viewer? We talked about this, why I loved to visit my daughter and go to some big cities. We do city hopping, although
What's your opinion or what my opinion is on it?
what your opinion is, what you see that Amsterdam or Rotterdam, what the Netherlands, or what? Oh, hold on. Let me define my question differently. What do we not have in Costa Rica, or we do have here?
The ease of life.
The ease of life, yeah, but also architecture, museums.
Seriously,
Stuff, right?
the difference is Costa Rica is beautiful by its nature. Holland's beautiful by our architecture, our history. We have windmills that are dating back to like 1625. The oldest one I'm pretty sure we have is from 15 something, like, and 50s. Like you can. I also just love how I don't know, everything's so peaceful here. It's peaceful in a different way. But if you look at the buildings here, if you look around, like this view
Yeah,
is absolutely amazing to me.
that's the skyline.
That's the skyline that you will never get in Costa Rica.
Yeah, so in Costa Rica, we do not have architecture like this, right?
There is maybe one or two buildings in the city that I would say are pretty.
Yeah, but the tea coast destroyed all the leftovers from the Spanish invasion, after the Spanish
Obviously,
influence.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
I just prefer my personal preparation is the way that Holland built their own stuff. Like my own city, The Hague. I love just walking around and kind of looking at the buildings because they date back so far. And it's beautiful.
And we're not even talking about the infrastructure, which is super good here in the.
This is not meters below sea level.
This
and
is
we're
not
still
a
standing.
Yes, this is a good point. This is not a promotional video for the Netherlands, but I am making this video for all expats from all around the world, or people from all around the world who want to be a Costa Rica expat. Be aware of that Costa Rica, that we moved to Costa Rica for the jungle, but not for the architecture, not for the musea, not for the good infrastructure, because that is basically lacking in Costa Rica. But it's not that I feel bad about it, because I don't miss it. Well, I do enjoy that we have it here.
Yeah.
But I'm leaving back to Costa Rica in 2 weeks after I spend all the time with my baby.
Can I tell them how it's been to lead my mom back around my own country?
Yeah, tell them what a stranger I am
It
here.
feels like I'm walking a child through. Like, it's funny, obviously, because I've been here for like almost 4 months again. Like I've been living here for 4 months. This is her second day actually back, and I have to explain to her how
Since 3.5 years, huh?
how
Since
you
3.5
pay
years.
with a card, on where you hold it, what you do, and how everything works, and how you work with the people here. Because in Costa Rica, you can say hi to the most random person on the street, and you can have a conversation about life right then and there. You do that here, you'll get looked at like you're freaking crazy.
So they look at me like I'm freaking crazy because I'm in this chatty mood, because everyone understands me because my Spanish is not fluent in Costa Costa Rica.
That's also one thing I had to get used to. Everyone understands what you're saying. You can't talk about somebody and they won't hear you. They will hear you and they will look at you.
So thank you for sharing that. So to wrap up this video, okay, so probably you found this video because you were searching on YouTube for Costa Rica for families, Costa Rica for kids. Now here's my big kid sitting next to me. She's already 18 plus, but I still have a 13-year-old boy. He just became 13. He will hate me if he sees that I mistaken myself. But so do you think, sweetheart, that it's possible for parents with older kids like you were to move to Costa Rica anyways? Is there hope for them, for those families?
But one thing that my mom never understood is communicate with your child about where you're going. Because I loved it after 2 years. It took me personally almost 2 years to find my way. That's not their fault.
And how could I have prepared better to make it better, easier for you?
For me to
fit
have
in
had
Costa
more
Rica?
say in the school I went to the place that we lived in, to like what the things are to do around there. Personally, I'm not a surfer. If you don't like surfing, you kind of run out of stuff to do there quite quickly. So I had to find my own way, which was horseback riding. And that didn't end up working for me there because the situation I was in there to ride with was not what I wanted. My trainer that I had did everything that she could, but just the cost of everything, the way you could get to competitions was hard. Everything was just...
There was not so much choice.
It wasn't
either,
fitting
right?
for me because exactly I need some more choices to be able to pick from.
I think that is the hot word. I think this is what you mean, because I remember as a mom that we discussed, okay, what do you like, what is important? So we found a school, we found horses, but it was the only option there was in the area that we chose.
It was very much black and white. This
Yes.
is what you have, this is what you got. And I prefer to be able to have this and then 20 options behind that, and then have this and have 20 options behind that.
So
Here-
considering this, Santa Teresa, Montezuma area would probably not be the perfect match if you have teenagers, is that correct?
Yeah, well, what I think would be best for people my age, which I talked about with a couple of my friends there, it's amazing to live there, but not full time. To have an outlet, to be able to go somewhere where it's a bit more crowded, where you have more options, which was for me personally better. So give your child the option to want to go back for, even if it's 2 weeks, give them that option to be able to.
That was literally birch poop.
Welcome in Holland.
Welcome in Holland.
We have an overload of seagulls. I know that they're
Yeah, there
becoming
were seagull
extinct, but if you guys want some seagulls from Holland, take them off. I would not
So
mind.
more options, more choices. So if you're done with the school, the international school, that you can hop over to another school.
If you tell you what to do.
And
we don't have to talk that loud.
other tips?
Like I said, just listen to your child. Make sure that what you choose also fits for them. They won't like it.
Do you think? Sorry, I interrupted.
No,
Do you think we did the right thing to allow you to go back to, or to go somewhere where you wanted to be as at age 18?
yes. If
So
I would have
that's a big
stayed there
tip.
longer, again, personally for me, I would not have been okay. Because I ran out of things to do. I ran out of finding everything there fun. But now that I'm back here, I want to go back. So
Okay.
every time you give that option of letting it go for a bit, letting it sit, you start wanting to go back. But
That's a good advice.
if you look at something for 10 hours at the time, it's not going to be that pretty. If you look at something here and there, you're going to actually see details in it. You're actually going to see the fun in it.
Yeah.
Like you can stare at a painting for a whole day and just stare at it, not just looking at one point, you're not going to see the beauty in it. If you come back 10 times and look at a different part of it, you're going to like it a lot more. You're going to see more details, you're going to see more fun things about it.
Also, that's great. Thanks for sharing. Are you the only teenager who left Costa Rica? So this is an important information. This is not just my daughter, who is 18 and a couple of months, 18 and a half almost, who left Costa Rica, and we allowed her to because, you know, we really motivate our kids to be
And you couldn't
independent
stop
and
me.
free.
That's one
No.
thing you can't leave out. You couldn't stop me.
But also the other parents. So your a lot of your friends moved out of Costa Rica,
Around
right?
the same time as well. A lot of my friends, even the ones that grew up there and lived
Yeah.
their whole life,
Yeah.
started needing more. Because
Yeah.
for me, or what I think, it's a great place to go and retire, to live when you've lived your life, when you've seen the cities, when you've seen the whole world.
And I made other videos about how to retire in Costa Rica, right? When you have adult kids who have their lives and don't really need you around every day, every hour of the day anymore, right? So that's a good point. But I think this is really helpful for all my viewers who have older kids or just younger kids but want to stay there forever and are worried about their kids when they're teenagers. So basically, in a nutshell, if you are thinking about moving to Costa Rica and live there as an expat and you have children, how is Costa Rica for children? I think it can be awesome if you allow your kid to have the freedom of choice to also leave Costa Rica when they're young adults. And is it also an advice? Do you also think that Costa Rica, where we lived, allows teenagers to be more independent compared to kids in the Netherlands, where you come from? Is it different,
No.
or is that
No.
the parenthood, the way that you were raised?
No, when it comes to independency, don't move to Costa Rica. You're going to be dependent on your parents to go anywhere. You're going to be dependent on the weather to do anything. You're going to be dependent on almost everything but yourself. One of the reasons I wanted to go back is I want to be able to just go wherever I want, whenever I want. There, I had a motorcycle after 2 years, which was nice, helped. But I did break my collarbone, and my knee looks quite ugly now because I fell. And obviously, it's quite cool, but
Yeah, so biking around like
would-
we were used to in the Netherlands is not possible.
I would prefer my kid to be able to grab their bike and run out to wherever they want to go.
Yeah.
And also here in the city, I feel safe almost in every neighborhood. Obviously, you gotta watch out, but walking on the street alone, I would never do that. And if I would always be on the phone with someone.
So we have been in neighborhoods in San Jose, like Santa Ana and Escazú. Would you have a teenager there?
No.
No?
Again, in Costa Rica, you're very reliant on your parents' car, your parents' vehicle. It's very usual for parents to be fully willing to drive their kid anywhere. Like, it's how it is. You want your kid to go somewhere, you gotta drive them there. Because if they go by themselves, it's a lot more dangerous. And that's something that's very special about Holland. It's very unique about Holland because, like, kids here can literally go wherever they want on their own bike. And the chance that something will happen is a lot smaller. If you fall with a bicycle, then you'll be fine. If you fall with a motorcycle, that's a lot harder. I can tell you that from experience. But yeah, like I said, it has good and bad parts because I got to see the freedom of it, but I also got to see how you can feel locked up in a bubble because I felt like I couldn't burst that bubble. It felt like I was kind of melting away every day after I was there for longer than a year.
Santa Teresa is also super hot. You must know that.
Which is why I said, give your kid the option to leave when they feel they need an outlet. If I would have left once or twice a year, I would have been a lot easier with it. Now, obviously, we had the whole COVID situation. Traveling was a lot harder. But if I would have been able to leave once or twice in the long year that I was there at once, I would have probably stayed a bit longer. I wouldn't have wanted to leave as bad.
Thank you so much for sharing this with my viewers, because who am I to talk for you? This is my daughter Sam. Isn't she amazing? Just give her some love in the comments below. Like, I'm so proud that she's my girl, and she has taught me a lot. So also that's why I decided spontaneously, we didn't practice this, I didn't tell her this, I didn't even know that I was making this video until we were eating herring. That's like a Dutch, typically a delicatessen, a fish here.
I've gotten used to my mom
I was like,
videotape.
I said, can I make a video? And I just want to share everything I've learned. I am visiting her now, and also when you have young teenage, young adult kids, they don't need you, but they need you in a way. Do I say that right? So in this way, I'm traveling to her, and I'm planning on doing this more often. And she can travel to me as well. So she's an independent young woman. I have raised her as an entrepreneur. Do you also want to highlight a little bit more about how beneficial you see that we have been surviving in a very good way in Costa Rica thanks to my online business? Do you think that it's amazing that your parents are able to make money online?
That does not have anything to do with Costa Rica. That's another thing on how you raise your kid.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was taught that you should just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Don't be put in a box. Don't listen to somebody who wants to put you in a box. I personally have a very different view on things than a lot of people here in Holland. And I've only been noticing that recently, but that obviously Costa Rica weighs in on that.
Yeah.
But that is also how my parents raised me. It's just the fact that they moved to Costa Rica and built something through my life gives me a very different view on it. Because as far as I know, we didn't have much when I grew up, and I mean, now my mom flew business class to visit me in Amsterdam. So
You know, we hit the bankruptcy in 2013, and I was with the husbands of the restaurants of my husband, and I was a social worker. So here, this is her story. She remembers we had food and everything and
I didn't
stuff,
know that
but
we didn't have it much.
we were
but
bankrupt, right? And I managed to, thanks to my online business and everything that I learned, I invested a lot in myself. Don't ask me how. I've been with creative. Well, that's a different story. I made a whole playlist about how to make money in Costa Rica. Check it out. If you're looking for a mentor or a coach, hit me up. Comment below. But the freedom, my online business allows me to travel to my girl or wherever she's going to live her life. I am able to visit her because I have an online business. But that was not what this video about. Thank you so much, dear. Want to say your final words for my viewers? And typically, look, Amsterdam, scooter boys. This is also, this is just happening in the video. You want to say some final words for my viewers about parents, kids in Costa Rica?
Very well about what you do to your child before making a decision. Talk to them. Don't make the decision for them. Give them the option. That's all. Make sure they got their own freedom and that they're not forced into it.
Thank you, baby. Okay, this was my video. Looking forward to see you in my other videos, and who knows, in Costa Rica. Right now, currently from Amsterdam. This was Muriel from the Sunshine Family. Ciao!